legislators have in stock for us come February 16th and March 2nd, 2019. You are welcome.
All right, today we are going to be speaking with somebody who is part of the process of wanting to get a leadership position in Lagos State.
In Lagos State,
yes, we are
Center of Excellence.
The Center of Excellence, Lagos State. So you need to just stay tuned this morning as we go straight into the interview session, because there's so much to say, and she's going to be bringing her antecedents to fore for you to understand better who this woman is this morning. So just stay tuned. We'll go on a quick break and then we'll have our guest with us this morning.
Before we actually, it's not my job to actually open the lid to let the cat out of the bag. Jumake has actually been assigned that role, and I'll rightly give it to her.
All right, this morning we have with us in the studio the running mate to People's Democratic Party's governorship candidate in Lagos State, Mr. Hajia. We are pleased to have with us this morning Mrs. Oluwayemisi Haleemat Busari. You're welcome.
Thank you, Juliet.
Good to have you on our program this morning.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So I'll just say a little bit about her.
Okay.
Before we go into, asking her our questions. Mrs. Haleemat Busari is a law graduate from the University of Lagos. She's currently on the board of many blue chip companies.
She was a director in Zain Nigeria Limited, now Airtel Nigeria, and she's a serving director in First Bank Sierra Leone, and she's also a princess of the Kosoko royal family from Isaleko. So she's a bona fide Lagosian. Good to have you. I just made it brief because we'll expect you to say so much more about yourself, especially for people who do not know so much about you. So you're welcome again.
Thank you once again, Jumake. It's a pleasure to be with you here this morning.
Thank you.
I know so much. I know unveiling has actually happened. She must have been unveiled to Lagosians at several fora, who she is and why she's on board of joint ticket with her principal, that's Mr. Hajia. So we may not be the first to actually unveil her, but it's a privilege that we're actually unveiling her on Summit today, 7th day of January 2019, and she's having a joint ticket with Mr. Hajia as Deputy Gubernatorial Candidate, PDP, Lagos State. Let me fire the first shot.
Okay.
Maybe the question should be she has read so much about your profile.
Picked a little out.
Yeah, just picked a little, just scratched it on the surface. Somebody with such an intimidating credentials. Very, very. So we want to find out why Deputy Gubernatorial Candidate. One would have expected you to go for the top position. Particularly that women are saying they can also do it better. So let's find out why the Deputy Gubernatorial Candidate.
Banji, I don't think I've said good morning to you, so good morning, Banji, and thank you for having me here. I
Thank
also
you.
think that I'm going to be going home with quite a bit of money from you as my backup. We can share the same last name. My foray into the position I'm currently running for is one that was a case of being called to serve. And you're quite right with my credentials. I think that I have the capabilities to deliver. I've been asked to serve as Deputy Governor of Lagos State on the PDP platform. And I believe that the credentials that I bring with me to bear on the role will serve me in good stead, because really, what is governance about? Governance is the ability to manage stakeholders, ability to work with others, ability to influence people's thoughts and decisions, ability to negotiate, ability to be able to coordinate and collate the resources that are available to you to ensure that you deliver on your state objectives and targets. And these are the things that I have done in the last 30 years and over, which I believe I will bring to the table and will help me in working in this new assignment.
Okay, as a follow-up to that, you've just spoken about how your background would actually assist you in this very, very important duty of governance. How much of that are you actually bringing on board? That's the first question. Then we've had an experience over the years where deputy governors are assigned specific roles of Commissioner of Education or Women Affairs, and that's what they do practically throughout 4 years. What should Lagosians expect from you, Deputy Governor of Lagos State? I don't know if you'll be content with managing a ministry or being there as more or less a spare tire. So what should Lagosians expect from you?
Thank you very much, Banji. Let me state that this ticket is a joint ticket and it's a partnership. And both of us on the ticket are professionals. Like I said earlier, I bring over 30 years worth of experience from the corporate world into this new assignment, and so does Chinyabari. So we will both together be working as governor and deputy of Lagos State and deputy governor of Lagos State. So we would sit down, we would roll up our sleeves, we would formulate policies together, we will implement, we will decide which ones he would work on and which ones I would work on. Effectively, what I'm saying is that this is going to be a partnership. And because we're both professionals, we're both going to be bringing our wealth of experience to bear on what it is we'll be doing in Lagos State.
All right, now let's look at, okay.
This may be too long, but permit me. From what you have just said, both of you are coming from the private sector
Yes.
background. Now, you come into the public sector to actually govern Lagos State. How prepared would you say this private sector background has prepared both of you for this huge responsibility, particularly Lagos State?
Again, I'll go back to my earlier comments. So what is governance? And governance is managing stakeholders. Governance is the ability to influence. Governance is the ability to negotiate. These are things that both of us as professionals have done over the last 3 decades or more. So effectively, when we come into government, what we will be doing will be to bring this experience that we have garnered over the years to bear on governance. So for example, you're trying to negotiate a deal or a transaction for the good of the people of Lagos State. You already have skills of negotiations. You already have skills of influencing people. All of this you will bring to bear and make sure that you get what is best for the people of Lagos. Because remember, Public service and governance is about what is best for the people that you are governing. So whatever skills you're going to bring must be skills that will assist you in achieving that which is best for the people of Lagos. Because the Lagos that we are trying to build is a Lagos where everybody can be what they want to be. A Lagos that gives to Lagosians their aspirations and yearnings. A Lagos that affords all Lagosians to be their brother's keeper. And because Jimmy Abaje and I are passionate about Lagos, we respect the people of Lagos. We want to serve the people of Lagos. And we have the capability to serve the people of Lagos. Is why all the skills that we have garnered over the years is what we will put to bear and to achieve these things that I have said.
All right, you said something about building a good Lagos. Now, my question for you is 2 in 1. Now, I want to ask that what is your vision of a good society? And then, what are the steps you will take as a deputy governor to ensure that this vision is aligned with the people?
The Lagos of our dream is the Lagos that has a population of well-educated people. People who have skills, people who are healthy, people who are happy, and people who will live in a society that is vibrant economically, prosperous, and safe. That is the Lagos of our dream. We will achieve this based on the tripod that we have put in place for ourselves. And these 3 things which we will run our governance on is livability. What is livability? Livability is having good health, being free from traffic now. How long does it take you to move from one location to the other? Good quality education. Economy. Economy is how easy are we able to do business in Lagos? Do we have an enabling environment that allows commerce to thrive? Do we have industry, infrastructure in Lagos? And then, of course, the future. The youth are the future. Not only are the youth the future, we also need to have a promising future to be able to live well in Lagos. We will drive the future with information technology. We will drive the future with a well-crafted, robust strategy that help us move Lagos from where it is now to the Lagos of our dream. Education is going to be the bedrock of everything we're going to be doing. And education is that catalyst that will lead Lagos into the Lagos of our dream.
Okay, let's talk about education now. What is being done now that you think specifically now that will be improved upon? Because when you talk about education in Nigeria as a whole now, I think Lagos is one of the states that has a good grip on that sector in our society. What are the things you will do to further improve on what we have on ground now?
As a government, our focus is on primary, tertiary, and vocational education. And I'll tell you why. We have a teeming population in Lagos. We have a high rate of unemployment among the youth in Lagos. And so our focus is we want to ensure that we are able to put in place structures that allow people to harness their strengths and be able to turn this into what gives them economic independence. So we're looking at a situation where in the short term we come up with vocational courses that quickly equip people with the ability to be able to turn their time into viable opportunities for them. That's one thing we're going to do. We're also going to make sure that the primary education and secondary is looked into, and we affect the curriculum of the schools so that we're sure that children are taught education, or rather are given education that make them turn out to become independent individuals?
I'll kind of deviate a little from the course Jumoke has taken. From the scratch, your campaign is actually focused. One of the key issues that's actually been pushed forward to the public in Lagos State is the fact that you're saying Lagosians are in bondage as PDP Lagos State, and that your plan is actually to seek freedom for Lagosians. Can you expatiate on that?
Thank you. The thrust of our campaign, one of it is our hashtag is freedom, democracy, and Lagos. And when we say freedom, what do we mean by freedom? I'll give you an example. I was talking to a young friend the other day, and she was in a very sober and pensive mood. And I asked her what the problem was, and she had just lost a friend. And why did she lose the friend? The friend was pregnant, and they got caught up in traffic. And they were trying to maneuver their way through to get to a hospital. By the time they got to the nearest public hospital, she had actually gone into labor. And they got to the hospital, there were complications, and both baby and mother passed. This is what Lagosians are living with on a daily basis. So when we say freedom, we're saying freedom from traffic, which causes the kind of situation I have just described. Freedom from inadequate education for our children. Freedom from inadequate health facilities. This is what we mean by freedom. And this is what we, as a ticket, are saying that when we come into government, these are the things we would pay attention to. By what I had espoused to you earlier, our tripod of livability, economy, and education, and the future. Because when we make Lagos a more livable city, when we free Lagos of the traffic slum, when we free Lagos of hospitals that do not have adequate facilities, then Lagos becomes a more livable place. And when it becomes a more livable place, the people of Lagos can focus on their entrepreneurial activities and make the economy boom. And when the economy booms, the future is secure.
Lagos State is certainly a leading state in terms of revenue generation. Yet, I'm aware that so much is yet to be done, even though the current administration seems to have done so much on infrastructure, going to the hinterland, the border towns and all that. Where do you hope to get the resources to do all this from? Outside what comes from the federal allocation? Do you have the knowledge of the economy of Lagos State, as in what's going to be available to your government and how much you can do with whatever comes in? How much knowledge do you have of the economy of Lagos State?
Talking about commerce in Lagos and how our government intends to run things that will generate economy and commerce. Lagos is one of the mega cities in the world. And because of that, there's certain things that naturally should come to play in Lagos. So for example, all mega cities must have certain amenities. You must have a good transport network, you must have good health service, you must have good schools, you must have a well-educated workforce so that you're able to oil your economy and make sure that you keep moving. Part of what Jigabaje and I will do is to make sure that we put in place positions that help us articulate and bring all of this together. So effectively, we have we improve on the road network. We have the waterways, which we can utilize. The waterways assist with the transport. The waterways reduce the traffic that we have in Lagos. And that helps people to move from point to point. And when people are able to move from point to point, they are able to carry on their commercial activities. We also understand the fact that Lagos has generated about 5 trillion in the last 2 decades, and indeed has spent about 6.2 trillion. What we're saying is that what can be done with these kinds of monies? Let's take, for example, the new Ghana airport that was just built. Ghana airport was built, I think, with about 99 billion naira. And what Ghana is gradually becoming is the hub of Central Africa, which really is where Lagos should be. So we're saying that there's a lot that can be done with the kind of resources that is available to Lagos. And so what we will do is to make sure that these resources are properly harnessed and utilized in a way that helps to boost the economy and income of Lagos.
All right, still talking about you in politics, knowing that you're coming from the private sector to be in the public sector, and as someone who is aspiring to be a deputy governor of Lagos State. Now we know that most of the time what hampers women from thriving in politics are cultural issues, financial challenges, and general acceptability in politics. How have you been able to handle these shortcomings?
I'm a wife and a mother. And generally, women add value on a daily basis because we're multi-skilled.
I think I should clap to that.
We're multi-talented. And indeed, we are the backbone of society and the home. That is what women are, that is what we do. And so, as a woman who has been in the corporate world for the last 30 years or more, I've had to deal with working and managing the home front and making sure that one makes a success of both. And it is only when you've been able to plan effectively that you're able to manage both the home front and the workplace. And you must make sure that one does not disturb the other. In terms of coming into politics, as I said earlier, is about governance. Being in the corporate world is also about work. And so what will work for me in this situation, again, I go back to what I said earlier, the skills I had acquired while I was in the corporate world is what I would bring to bear in politics. For example, while in the corporate world, I've done fundraising for big projects, telecom sector, hospitality, name it, both internationally and locally. So fundraising will not be a problem because this is something I have done over and over again and I know how to do it, and so I'll bring that to bear. Also, in politics and in governance, you're dealing with projects. In my private life, you work on projects. That's part of the skills you acquire. You learn how to start an activity from the beginning and make sure that you see it to fruition and to conclusion. And these are things that I have done. So these are skills that I already have and which I will bring to bear in my new position.
So to you, they are not challenges?
They're not, because they're things I do I've done the last odd 30 years and the things I'm comfortable with doing. So it's not a challenge for me.
There are issues of environment and power in Lagos State. You have also, in your remarks, you refer to Lagos as a mega city. Now, what does your party, if you are elected, have in stock for Lagosians when it comes to environment? Particularly, we've had issues with refuse on our roads. And rather than become a source of wealth, turning the waste into wealth, for us, it has been more or less a headache. What does your party, what does your ticket, what would you actually do to enhance the environment in Lagos State? And I'm aware that Lagos State is also has attempted IPP, that's Independent Power Project, over time. A mega city requires so much power to be able to run its activities. Are you thinking along these lines? Because you didn't mention it in your, that's why I needed to bring this up.
Power, as we all know, is a national issue in Nigeria. And inadequacy of power is something that is a national issue because it's tied to the national grid, and we all know that. However, as a state, which is Lagos, what we will do when it comes to power is we would work with the IPPs, as you have said, and our target is to see how we can generate extra power for Lagos. And this is something that we're deeply committed to doing, and which we have a strategy, a robust strategy around. If I go into the issue of waste and waste management is a whole value chain of collection, disposal of waste, and the whole value
Recycling
chain.
and all that.
Yes, the whole ecosystem. And what we as a government will do is that we will look at the infrastructure that is already in place and the government agencies that already exist and see how the things can be done in a better way. How we would make sure that the environmental sanitation is given priority, because it is only when you have a healthy environment that it also impacts the health of people. I mean, take for example the issue of health inspectors and all. Those are things that form part of our bigger strategy for waste management and sanitation, which we will deploy.
Okay, let me take you away from that. The issue of perception now. With due regard, you and I are in Nigeria, where it's been repeatedly said that PDP has had more than its fair share of governance at the federal level. But to some people, that period was not properly managed. So that perception is actually trickling down to states, local governments, and everybody in the federation. So how are you dealing, how are you actually addressing the issue of perception of your party, PDP, particularly in Lagos State, where you've not had opportunity to rule, to come into power for the past almost 20 years now? So how are you dealing with that issue of perception? PDP as a party that did not manage economic well for 16 years.
Our message is clear as a ticket, and what we have proposed to do is to build a Lagos where Lagosians will aspire to be whatever they want to be, and where the government will be a responsible government that is alive to the yearnings and aspirations of its people. I said earlier that the way we will do this is on the tripod that I have analyzed, which is livability, the economy, and the future. And our own belief is that when you have an economy or a population that has, let me give you an example. where statistics say that the life expectancy of Lagosians is 49 years. This is much lower than the national average identified for Nigeria. What we're saying is that as a government, when we come into power, coming in 2019, and we put in place all the policies and the strategy that we have put together around Lagos being a more livable city, a city where you can achieve your aspirations, a city where life is easy to live, a city where people can have 3 appointments in Lagos in one day. You and I know that the way we currently run, if you have an appointment in Ikeja and one on the island in the same day, you're likely not to meet both, or at the best you will meet one, depending on what part of the city you're coming from. So we're saying that we intend to make the lives of Lagosians more peaceful and more livable for them, so that when they're able to do that, commerce will naturally come alive again in Lagos. And when the economy is booming, then the future is assured for Lagosians. So effectively, what we are going to do is to make sure that we put in place a Lagos that provides for all Lagosians, irrespective of religion, creed, ethnicity, color, race, a Lagos where everybody can come and make a success of themselves and their lives. That is our goal, and that is the message that we're passing in our campaign.
All right, right now we're just about a few weeks to the presidential election, and then like 2 months to the governorship election. And if you look around, you realize that the frenzy that goes with campaigning and all that seems to be quite low this year. Now, what would you attribute to that? Because people are insinuating that it's due to lack of funds, the people don't have money, the parties themselves do not have the funds to push for campaign. What do you think is the reason for this, and what are you doing to further push?
To reach out.
To reach out to people.
As a ticket, and again, Jimmy Abaje and I, we have our campaign strategy, and we have our campaign to-dos and milestones, which we're measuring and which we follow. We have a schedule, and we have times at which certain things will happen and times at which certain things must occur. And I will assure you that we have kept to our campaign timetable, and we intend to keep to it until the time when there's a cutoff, when you can no longer campaign and you have to stop before the election starts. Because let me also add that what we take as very important is playing by the rules. That is something that is very, very fundamental to us. For example, the INEC rule says campaigns should start on the 1st of December. And that was exactly what we did. And we continue to stick to our schedule and to follow the rules in everything that we do.
Now, the few times you've gone out, reached out in terms of campaigns and maybe house to house, how acceptable is your party to the people?
It's been very good. The acceptance out there is overwhelming. I mean, people are very receptive of us. They're receptive of our message, which is clear, which again is livability, economy, and the future. So they relate with us, they accept us, the messaging is clear, they want to be a part of us, and they're looking forward to joining us, and we are positioning ourselves to be in a position that we lead them, and at the end of the day, claim victory at the polls, inshallah.
In terms of feedback, what specific issues are you actually discussing with your party and your ticket? What are the things they are actually complaining? If they want to work with and join with you, there must be reasons. What are the issues they are discussing with you?
In formulating some of our strategies and our policy, and indeed our manifesto and what we stand for and what we represent, these things were not built in the air. We actually came about what we represent from engagements with people. And this is still ongoing. We do on a daily basis. So we sit down with groups of people and we let them tell us what their pains are and what they want from Lagos and what they want from the government of Lagos. And these are things that we are collating and putting together. And these are part of the things that have formed the tripod on which we have based our campaign. I just told you about the story of somebody who was moving with another friend in traffic, and she lost that friend because the friend fell into labor. So Lagosians want to be able to do three things in one day. Lagosians want to be able to parent their children and not leave their children to the care of caregivers. We all know that sometimes some people have to leave home at 4 a.m. in the morning to get to work, and they don't get back until midnight. They don't see their children. These are the things that Lagosians are bothered about. And these are the things that we are prepared to work with them on to bring solutions to.
Okay, now talking about, sorry, maybe I like to talk about women issues. I don't know, but
good.
Yeah.
Maybe she was actually picked to represent the interest of women.
Yeah, you know, because I feel that any woman that ventures into politics must be very strong, must be very intelligent, must be very strong-willed. You know, you must have a strong will. You know, the will to continue despite the oppositions from men. You know, so I just want to ask this question for women who actually aspire to go into politics. You know, where do they start from? Or where did you start from? Where, at exactly what point or at what level did you take it from? Because I'm sure it will help someone out there.
Let me react to one of the things you said in starting, that as a woman, you have to compete with men. And politics, corporate world, it's the same thing. I've been in the corporate world, like I say, for over 30 years. And I've risen to the position, but I have risen to, with all sense of humility, because I have been on top of my game. So you must know your onions. You must understand your game. You must not say because you're a woman, you will be given special concessions or treatment. That's a starting point. And so once you know your onions and you are on top of your game, you must also present yourself for service. You must position yourself. And when you position yourself, you're recognized. And when you're recognized, you give it your best. You would recall earlier on I had said that women add value every day. Women are multi-talented. Women are multi-skilled. Women are the backbone of the society because we run the home and we hold things together. We also have the ability to negotiate. Let me give you an example that you will find interesting. Once I was at a negotiating table for my company, and I was the only woman in the room, and we had men on both sides, and the negotiation was getting very tough because what we had at stake was huge. And I just suddenly noticed that it had become an ego game for the men. And I said to myself, I'm not going to let this happen because we're all going to walk away from that negotiation table not having achieved anything. I don't have anything to lose. I'm not playing any ego game with anybody. All I want to do is to achieve and to get results. So I insisted that we take a break. We took a 5 minutes break. By the time we came back, I led my group. And we achieved what it was we wanted to achieve.
Great.
It was a win-win
A
situation.
woman's perception.
Maybe, I don't know, last election, 2015, between the current governor and your principal, Jimmy Agbadi, there was just a difference of about 100 votes. 1,000 votes, so to speak. The margin was so narrow. Maybe, are you telling Lagosians that you probably want to use the same strategy you use in the boardroom to actually give PDP that edge, that cutting edge, to be able to win on March 2nd, 2019? So what do you want to tell Lagosians as what you actually want them to do for you to be able to achieve that?
My message to Lagosians is that the ticket that we present to them now is a much stronger ticket.
Much
stronger ticket. It's a ticket of two professionals. It's a ticket of people who have been in governance. Because what is governance? Governance is what I have highlighted earlier. So it is a ticket that is a partnership. It is a ticket that has identified what it will do for Lagosians. It is a ticket that will make Lagos a more livable place for Lagosians. It is a ticket that will boost the economy of Lagos. It is a ticket that will assure the future of Lagosians. And so what I would say to Lagosians is that make sure you have your PVCs. Come out en masse and vote. Vote for Jimmy Agbadi and Hajia Busari. Because Jimmy Agbadi and Hajia Busari respect Lagosians. Jimmy Agbadi and Hajia Busari want to serve the people of Lagos. Jimmy Agbadi and Hajia Busari have passion about Lagosians, and we have the capability to serve Lagosians.
Well said.
Together.
Well said. She has actually spoken to Lagosians.
Yeah.
And I believe March 2nd, 2019, they will give her, your party, will respond to what you have just said now. I want to, our time is fast spent, Jumake. We really need to wind up and begin to go home. Any more thing you want to tell us?
I think that I'd just like to round up by saying that our dream for Lagos is a Lagos that is more livable. A Lagos where security of lives is paramount. A Lagos where the economy is very important to us. So, join hands with us to build the Lagos of our dreams. A Lagos that will assure our children of a bright future.
Thank you so much. We'll be speaking with Mrs. Oluwayemisi Haleemat Busari, the running mate to PDP's governorship aspirant in Lagos State, Mr.
Candidate now.
Candidate. Thank you for coming on the program today. I want to wish you the best as we look forward to March 2nd.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you very much.
You've actually made that day for actually coming on our show today. And just as you said, you actually added value to this program, and you've shown to the world that women are not just spare tires, they are in their own right good enough to occupy any position. That's why we want to say thank you, ma'am, for your time. You asked me to say barrister.
Okay, we forgot the barrister.
Barrister Haleemat Busari. Thank you for telling me to submit today.
Thank you very much.
For viewers, thank you for keeping faith. Wednesday is another day. Bye bye.
See you on Wednesday.